Hey everyone, MGR here, and no, your eyes are not deceiving you. Kujou Sara is built, leveled, and ready for action. Today's video won't showcase her build, but instead, as the title suggests, I am revisiting my thoughts and opinions about her. To be clear, I still think she is a must-have and an awesome support unit, but I feel I need to tone it down from the previous video to put things more in perspective, since I've had time to fully test her out with my characters and teams. The background gameplay is mainly some damage testing with various comps that I immediately thought of using her in and comparing her to, both showcasing her versus Bennett damage-wise and her along with Bennett buffing teams to the moon. Without further ado, let's get into it. Point number 1. I feel I might have overhyped her in my previous video. As mentioned, I still think she is amazing and adds a lot of value, but her status as broken and busted have been proven wrong, and she is overall just a fantastic support to add to your teams. Point number 2, and the biggest point of this video, is that I feel Sara is a more niche and restricted buff support than Bennett. After using her for quite a while, I feel that she isn't an obvious pick like Bennett for nearly every team. This is mainly because her damage buff is only 6 seconds long. I mentioned this briefly in my previous thoughts video, and it rather held up with the testing I've been doing. Rotating Sara around in your team can be troublesome sometimes. Having to switch to Sara, activate her skill, fire a charge shot, switching to another character, switching back to Sara, and finally back to another character between rotations takes time and opens more windows for error and less damage. The background gameplay doesn't really show it, and by no means are my rotations optimal, but it does give you an idea of what I mean. Therefore, I feel that Sara is more focused on buffing one big DPS character that can get a lot of damage done in a very short time. Characters like Keqing, Xiao, Xinyan, and of course A. By the way, A will have her build video up next week. In contrast to Bennett, who can buff everyone in his AoE for a longer period of time and doesn't need constant rotation. Using Sara on one big DPS character lessens the amount of rotations needed while keeping damage high and lowering the risk of interruptions and mistakes. By no means is he restricted to only certain comps, and with practicing her rotations, most of the issues will be resolved. However, it is something I wanted to bring up for you to consider if you're still on the fence about wishing for her, which I still do recommend. How about Bennett versus Sara? Bennett has advantages in a higher attack bonus scaling than Sara, adds healing to your team and a longer duration of the attack bonus. The areas where Sara does have an advantage over Bennett, however, is that Sara can apply her attack buff more frequently, every 10 seconds, restores more energy for your entire team, and isn't restricted to one area when using her buff. You only need to be in Xingiu ambushes AoE when it explodes, and after that, for 6 seconds, you can move freely around and attack enemies with your attack buff, in contrast to Bennett, where enemies can move out of their range a fantastic voyage. I feel both have pros and cons to be weighed when deciding to use them in your teams, and Bennett will most likely come out as the obvious pick most of the times, since more people have him by now and have builds tailored to their needs, but Sara doesn't fall short by any means to Bennett. As shown in my gameplay, you can stack both their buffs to turn your DPS characters into hyper carries and your hyper carries into god tier DPS units. I think it is less important to put the two against each other and compare them, and is much more important to realize that you now have two great attack buffing units that can work in tandem with each other or be used in separate teams when needed. Going into her constellations, I completely missed an important part of her second constellation and thought it was strictly damage related. In reality, it leaves a crow feather behind when using Xingiu Stormcaller that will proc Xingiu ambush after detonation. This means that you basically never have to shoot an aimed shot anymore and optimizes rotations by a huge margin. Therefore, C2 adds a lot more value than I initially thought. I'd also like to bring attention to C5, which gives her 3 levels on Xingiu Stormcaller, and by extension Xingiu Ambush will gain a higher attack scaling, bringing her closer to that busted status I was hyping up in my previous video. Of course I'm just joking, she isn't really busted. And finally, C6. I still think that this will be broken for electro damage units. Finally, special mention to her second Ascension talent, Decorum. It restores way more energy than I originally thought, and you'll be getting burst back incredibly quick, which makes her role as an all-round team battery much more appealing. This isn't really shown against Masonori, but against multiple enemies she restores energy incredibly fast. To end my revisited thoughts, Sara is still an incredible unit that I would recommend to anyone. She is right up there in tier levels with Bennett and Xingiu as a support, and I thoroughly believe she will become a mainstay in a lot of team comps in the future. I overhyped her in my previous video, making her out to be a hyper support carry, and just wanted to bring that down a bit. She isn't a broken support and has more niche use than Bennett, but ultimately she is still an amazing support unit comparable to other top tier supports. I hope between this video and my build video coming soon that you'll be able to make an informed decision about wishing for her. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video informative, a like would be appreciated and subscribing will help the channel immensely. Enjoy the rest of the gameplay. MGR out.
Let's light it up!
Gather!
Going in! Nice and spicy! You're toast!
Submit for judgment! Forth my blade! Cut down! Like this.
Benny's a... I'm going in! No turning back! With sword comes shadow. Speed of light.
And you! Gather!
Strike! Incoming!
Gather!
Don't blink! Nowhere to hide!
Stabilize!
Quiver! Incoming!
Solidify!
Flash!
I've got your hand!
Don't blink!
Gather! One strike!
Adventure tires! Everybody stand back! Storm the front! Cut to the chase! Hey!
You win! This. I'm ready!
Teamwork is dreamwork! Glory to the Shogun!
Disappear! And you! Here! Worthless! Solidify! Taste my blood! Fall before me! For it! Stabilize. Fall before me.
Everybody stand back! Storm the front! Power core! Amp it up! Quiver!
Fall before me. Stabilize.
Flash!
Take this.
Feel the beat! Strike!
Solidify. Taste my blade.
Flash!
One strike will suffice. Fall before me.
Off we go! Teamwork is dreamwork! Glory to the showman! Time to rock!
Solidify.
Hip! Hick!